Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing great and good morning. Welcome to our today's session of Meet the Global Leader. So, this program we organized for the students who are studying at universities in Bangladesh. We invite professionals from different sectors around the world to share their professional journey. How was their student life? How did they start? And all through their career. We welcome them to share their professional insights, lessons, how to overcome challenges with the students so that before graduation, they work on developing skills, some knowledge development for their future career. Today, we have invited Miss Maria. She is a health and performance specialist dedicated to empowering high achievers to transform stress into sustainable performance. With a rich background in leadership, project management, and health coaching, she combines her expertise to help professionals optimize their well being without sacrificing success. As a national board certified health and wellness coach, she advocates for a holistic approach to stress management, focusing on resilience and energy management. So, join me in welcoming Maria as she shares her insights on achieving balance and thriving in today's demanding environment. Maria, welcome to our session.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Really happy to be here and share some of something that will benefit the audience whoever is listening to us. Yeah.
Absolutely, and especially a very powerful stuff. I must say that how professionals optimize their well-being without sacrificing success. We often, students as well, we often continuously do our work, overwork sometimes, or draining our energy. So it's very great that we have you, and we're going to learn a lot about your advice and lessons. So if you share about in brief, how's your student life and or what actually helped you develop your passion for this sector?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So for my during my student, I have a background in food science and also have a degree, an MBA. So I think through all my student life, I became really curious about how can you grow, how can you improve, and as a student in like these various degrees, it comes with a sacrifice. You need to really put your energy to on your studies to do great, right? And for me, something that really stuck was how can I make it sustainable, right? There were some all-nighters that we have to pull up, finishing projects, meeting up with team members, getting this project out. But something that really helped me was to be consistent and have an outlet where I can recharge and really manage this energy, not feeling exhausted all the time. And it was with exercise. So having consistent, being able to do consistent exercise throughout this period of time was really useful in managing the stress that comes with periods of deadlines and exams and presentations. So incorporating as well some techniques on mindfulness and also on breathing exercises really helped a lot. So for me in this stage, I wasn't really very into coaching, but these small habits, looking back, really helped me have a sustain, this performance and this passion for doing what I was doing at the moment.
Great. And you mentioned exercise. Sometimes people have misconceptions about exercise. That they have to go to gym, they have to weight lifts. You know, like w- for say for example for students or for professionals, how without going to gym they can maintain their health by doing very basic stuff.
Well, this is a great question because this is what I work now with high executives. It's probably exercise is the most researched activity ever. It has so many benefits. not only for your body to keep you healthy, but also for mental health and also for sustainable performance, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to be in an hour at the gym killing yourself, just being drained, or going to an exercise class where you finish just completely drained. That's not the point. The point is to do something that you really enjoy, that it encourages movement. And so movement is the key word here. So if you want to go for a walk, excuse me, 7 minutes per day, that's perfect. That still makes a difference. So changing the mindset of, you don't have to do 1 hour to reap the benefits of exercise. You can do 7 minutes a day, and the cumulative effects will be really beneficial for you. So if you can be flexible as well. So have maybe 3 times a week when you go out and play tennis with your friends or do some activity in a group, that also counts as exercise. So finding something that really appeals for you instead of being something that is like an additional chore, just shifting the mindset about how you go about exercise is very important.
True. So, in your experience, how you can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So, in your experience, what are the biggest challenges leaders face today when it comes to work-life balance and preventing burnout?
Okay. This this is a very important topic because when you're very passionate about the work that you do, it's very easy to get trapped into this. Really, that you need to do the work. You need to, even if you're an entrepreneur. This is very common in entrepreneurs as well. They get very passionate and very into the job. There's a lot on their plates, so it's very important to draw lines, to draw boundaries. And this is how we start to build a better work life balance. So, work life balance means different things for different people. And we are told that we cannot have everything, right? That you need to decide one thing and go all in for this thing that you want, and even sacrifice your time, your health, and eventually your career, right? Because there's nothing that is going to be sustainable in the long run if you don't take the time to recharge. So something that is very important is to understand that our role in our job, the role as a student, the role as an entrepreneur, doesn't define us. It's not our whole identity. We wear so many hats in our day, in our life, that we need to honor that space. So give that space to, okay, this is my work. When you get out of work, then there's an important boundary. You leave your work stays there. It doesn't carry over to your house with your family, with your friends. It's in a different compartment. So this is very common also in high executives as well. They go back to their house, they're still on their phone, they're still responding to emails, and they never can disconnect. And this affects their sleep, their health, their relationships, and it's sometimes seen as a secondhand stress. So this is also very important. There's a lot of research around it now, that when you see somebody who's stressed, your stress levels go up. So your cortisol, which is the stress hormone, goes up as well. So having a clear boundary, having a life outside work is also a key aspect here.
Absolutely, and our mobile phones, they drains their battery when we use a lot of stuff like different apps, so it drains. So similarly, as a human being, we have the same stuff, but we mostly don't care about it because we do sorry, we don't see it that way because better we have limited energy every day in our body. So you're continuously burning it out, and when you feel stressed, like you mentioned, we don't actually review it in that way, that we did those things that actually make this happen. So it's very important that we care about and ourselves, and for students, especially in our country, like they sleep go to sleep very late, in midnight. They hang out, do a lot of stuff, so it actually drains their
Hmm.
um, energy. So if we go back to another topic, when you started your career, did you find any gap between what you studied in the universities and what you were doing initially in your career?
I think yes, I did. I did because
And
when
how did
we
you cope up?
were we okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's very important. I think it's very important to have an open mind as well, because we learn a lot in university or in our studies, right? We learn about the theory, the models. We have some case studies, and that's very enriching. We know the theory, but when we'll go out in the real world, there's a lot of other, a lot of other um things that will going to shift how we operate in the real world. So for instance, when we have a manager that we're not used to his way of his managing style, that could also influence how we work. So it's an ongoing process, first about knowing yourself. How do you work in the real world? So how do you respond to stress? How do you cope with it? What are your mechanisms to keep that renewed energy that you were talking about just a little bit ago? How can you make to manage that? And then in practice, just be flexible, because sometimes theory will not apply in your case when you're going in the real world and putting into practice. It really helps to have the background, of course, but be able to adapt. And this is something very important that I also work with my clients, is how fast can you adapt to a new situation? If you don't have the specific knowledge, then be open to learn. Be open to, okay, what can I bring from my experience in while I was studying, and what can I learn from the people with more experience than me? So having a clear goal, where do you want to go? Not focusing on where is the gap, but like where do you want to go, and what can you do about it, right? How can you adapt better to your environment? What are the things that you can control, and what are the things that you cannot control? That's very important to also understand, because it takes a lot of pressure out of you. I see a lot of people coming out from university, and that's also my case, that you need to prove yourself, right? You go there in the and you're off fresh, and you need to do whatever it takes to prove yourself, and that is not necessarily the case. The case is about having the willingness to learn and have a clear plan. And if you don't have a clear plan, that's okay too. You learn on the way. And that's what also happened to me. I shifted career in the middle, but it's also a connecting dots. So when you look back, all these things take you to a point where you want to be, where you are, where you use your strengths and your skills, and you also have to be very mindful of that. How can you bring more value to the job that you go for?
Absolutely. And what do you see uh, the importance? How do you see the importance of doing internships before graduations? Because like there are a lot of opportunities now to do international internship, being at home. So internship, volunteering activities, part-time work. So according to you, how these activities can shape students as a leader, or how they to develop skills, how these activities can help students
Mhm.
to ace in their interviews after their graduation.
Mhm. So it really helps you first in understanding what you like, what are your skills, what are you good at? Because I've seen people going into internships and trying to prove something to their parents or something to prove to their bosses, but the real importance of having an internship is trying to figure out what do you like. Do you really like going for that marketing career, or do you really prefer more of going into finance or doing marketing, but maybe digital, not planning events? So it's very important to go with an open mind as well. Like, what are you good at? What can you add value to this internship? What can you learn from it? And if you don't like it, that's okay. You can always shift and take that learning, because that learning, those insights that you get from the internship, even if it's not aligned to what you want to do, it will help you shape you to the next step that you take. So that's something very important as well. And also to network and to ask questions to the people, your hiring manager, to bosses. Like, be curious about how did they get to the place where they are now, and that will give you a lot of insights as well as to some keys, some clues in your career, which path to take.
Absolutely. And if you share a little bit about Embers Consulting and Coaching, what it does, and your role in that organizations, and how do you see through your work how you are creating impact in others' life?
Mhm. Okay, so in Ember's coaching and consulting, we do a lot of individual work with individual professionals, and also work with organizations. So what we do is we assess what is the risk of burnout and in teams, and then we do workshops where we define strategies as a team. How can we prevent burnout, and how can we increase that resilience within a team? And this is also applied with working closely with professionals one on one. Is how can we transform that stress into sustainable success? So there is a study done in World War II on with soldiers, and it tells us that when there's a challenge, we rise up to the challenge and our performance increases. And when we have a positive attitude, we can extend that level of performance for a longer period of time. But eventually, our bodies, our mental capacity will unwind, will go down, because we cannot sustain that level of that peak performance for a long time, right? So it also showed us that people who are less resilient peak earlier, but their performance also went down faster. So with our work with professionals is we work on increasing that resilience capacity, to helping them rewire their nervous system so that they can be more resilient, they can be more confident. And also with this, we work with their mindset, and we work with renewing their energy, because this is the one of the things that I see a lot in managing stress and preventing burnout, is that we only target one side of a person, but we are complex people. We're not only one-sided. We have different facets in our lives. So addressing a more holistic approach, meaning like a whole person approach, then we can build a system which will sustain and help you sustain performance for a longer period of time.
Absolutely. And you have mentioned stress several times. So, as a developing country, like Bangladesh, students who are studying at university, they have to go through a lot of like series of stresses, I must say, in the personal life. They have to, some of them have earn money with the academic, like activities, studies. they have to struggle because there are a lot of activities, tests, presentations. Like it's so time runs so fast when they're at university. So in that case, as they have to manage a lot of stuff, what if you share some of your advice how they can, like university students can manage stress, and why it is so important for them to uh, do good results in academic success and to prepare themselves for their future as well, how they can manage their stress and why it is very important and how it is linked to mental health and why it is important for
Okay.
them to balance it.
Yeah, thank you for this question. And this is very, very important. The stress can give us, it's like, is a silent, it's very sneaky because we don't feel it. Sometimes our body feels it, and then our brain interprets our sensations, and we end up giving stress. We label stress to many, many emotions that we have, that we go through. So often when we're under a lot of pressure, we have to deliver things very quickly, we have a lot of things on our plate, there's a lot of emotions going on around that. Physically, it inhibits our thinking brain. So when there's a stress, a threat, we're under pressure, our body naturally will try to protect us, and to so that we can survive. And this happens when, and by our body releasing the hormone of stress, cortisol, and this goes to our brain. It activates the part of the brain, the emotional part of the brain, the amygdala, and shuts down the thinking part of the brain. So when we are stressed, our decision making, our creativity, our rational part of the brain gets impaired. So this is one thing that happens physically, that there's a lot of evidence around it. The second part is that when stress is persistent, so we're under stress for a longer period of time, it affects our mental health. So when we could be in on overdrive, very anxious, operating at 1,000 kilometers per hour, and then suddenly it will turn around. So we'll feel a lot of apathy, unmotivated. We don't want to relate to others. We don't want to do the work. It takes a lot of energy for us to finish a task. So that's one of the first signs. Another sign is we're irritable. We're irritable. We react to people, even our people that are care for, and we are more reactive. We have less patience. We have go through a lot of mood swings, and then physically there's a big impact in our health. And this is why I'm passionate about working with people who are going through a stress phase, because it affects our health. And the first symptom is high blood pressure. There's no symptoms about it. We just suddenly you have high blood pressure for a long period of time, and then you start to feel the symptoms and the consequences. Your metabolism gets impaired. Your gut health also gets impaired. One of the first things that I see people having, like neck problems or back problems, and what is the first thing that we do? Go for quick fixes, right? So this is also something that can help in the moment, but it will not help in the long run, because our triggers will keep reminding us of, like, okay, this is stressful, this is how you need to survive. So the things that I really recommend that to have it in your toolbox are: first, stop, pause for 1 second. It's not going to cause you any delays in any other projects. It will, if you stop and see what's going on, what's happening, how am I reacting? And then this is something that is very simple, that a lot of my clients even say, like, it's so simple, it must not work, right? But self-regulating is one of the single most important thing you can do to prevent stress. And how do you do it? By breathing into your heart, by expanding your chest And this is proven. It's called resonance breathing. When you breathe the same number of inhale, so let's say you breathe for 5 seconds inhale and you exhale for 5 seconds. This is called resonance breathing, and this helps regulate your nervous system. So when your nervous system is regulated, your emotional part of the brain gets shut down and your thinking part of the brain gets activated. And then you're able to take better decisions, be sharp under pressure. And the other thing that is very important to do is have boundaries. What are your hard boundaries? Are your non-negotiables. So it's very important that you protect your time and then you communicate this. And the other one is how to get that energy moving. You don't want to end up go until get to the end of the day and feel exhausted and and just drained. You don't have energy for anything else. You want to uh, finish the day with being feeling okay. So being able to replenish that energy by doing exercise, by engaging in um, by putting an emphasis in sleeping better or having a better nutrition to impact to support your body through that period of stress is very important as well.
Great, very insightful advices. And like the typical, like for students and most professionals in Bangladesh, the typical morning is like we wake up, like we wake up and go for our reach out to our phone, and we open up social medias and like likes, notifications, and stuff. 30 minutes or 1 hour gone in the morning, just after we wake up. And before going to sleep, it's like like after the dinner. Uh, for students, it's like midnight, 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. And for professionals, it's maybe go to 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then they go to sleep. So how this, like waking up, reaching out to our phone, scrolling, and before going to sleep, the same cycle, the same activities. So how it is draining your energy, according to you?
Yeah, so you're not really disconnecting. And when you're uh, sleep is the is one of the most important things and one of the pillars for longevity. If you want to have a better quality of life, and this is when I was studying, this was not very important for me, right? Because you're in those years it was very normal to go to sleep later. But there's a lot of research that says that when you focus on sleeping and really trying to disconnect is when your body really lets go. It's like for mental health, it's very important to, because your body, your brain detoxifies, and your body also recovers from the day, from the long the strain in your body from stress. So when you wake up, you're still in that trance. Your body is trying to, okay, there's a lot of cortisol coming into your body, which signals it's time to wake up. But when we reach uh, to get our phone, to engage who messaged me, what emails do I have, or anybody liked my comment, that is you're right back into that vicious circle of stress. You're not really disconnecting. You're not honoring who, or having an intention of, okay, what do you want to do today? How do you want to go forward in your day? So it becomes kind of like a automatic response that it's draining your energy. It's not letting you disconnect. So if you go to bed with your phone and then you wake up with your phone and then you spend your whole day like very looking at your phone the whole time, very engaging. And this is not about like we don't need phones. This is not about that. It's about finding a balance and drawing boundaries around using technology. It's very useful nowadays. I think it's like it really helps us working landscape has changed. Our social interactions have changed because of this, but we need to use it in a smart way, an effective way, not in a way that is detrimental to our health and to our well-being, because it also, there's a lot of evidence that also it decreases our focus, it decreases our concentration. Now with apps and videos being, if they don't grab your attention in 5 seconds, then it doesn't work. That's how our concentration and focus span has decreased. So just being mindful of, okay, when you wake up, do not check your phone, do not go to your emails. Just give yourself some time to wake up, to go and do whatever you want to do, or just take some time for yourself, have breakfast, whatever it is. Give yourself a break. There's even one strategy that I learned from a business coach a few weeks ago, which is do not check your emails until 8 o'clock, not before that. There's no need. You're not going to solve any problems unless it's a very urgent one. You can make exceptions, but it shouldn't be in your daily routine, right? You need to be strategic about what is the most important thing that you need to target today that will keep you moving forward. But if you don't start the day being very focused and strategic about your day, you have the higher risk of just going without any direction, just surviving, just putting out fires throughout the day, just very busy, just go, go, go. And then there's no wonder at the end of the day, you don't have any time, you're feeling very stressed, you're feeling very tired. So it's about taking a step back and really asking yourself, okay, how can you make the most of this day without reaching first for the phone?
Great, great. And if you come to the leaders, like they have to, manage so many departments internally. They have to connect with external stakeholders. So, there are a lot of activities. So the pressures on CEOs or leaders are tremendous nowadays. So, what are, what are some practical strategies leaders can implement daily to foster resilience in themselves and their teams?
Mhm. So for leaders, it's important, like I mentioned before, emotional regulation. This is the one of the main important things to foster resilience, to increase your resilience capacity. Because when you focus on emotional regulation, we can actually measure how resilient is your body and how do you respond to stress. So when your capacity increases, we can see by measuring your heart rate variability, which is the variation between each heartbeat. So it's actually tangible way to measure. And then you can even track it, because we all have like smartphones or smart watches, and you can track how your heart rate variability is doing throughout the day. So this is also what I work on with professionals, with high level executives. How can they really build that resilience within themselves physically? Second, having good boundaries. This is something that I've mentioned a few times, and there's a lot of evidence right now, especially from Nick Petrie, who is a researcher in New Zealand, and he has discovered that CEOs that are not prone to burnout have very good habits in disconnecting from work. So what they do is come home and hide their phones. They don't look at their phones until the next day. They have really good rituals to, when they come home, they leave their suitcase, their briefcase, or they leave their suit in the door, and they come home, and then they're present with their family or their loved ones. That's another thing. Another thing is, like, something that I mentioned also here is to honor all your other roles that you have in your life. So if you love playing football, if you love going out to play some sport with friends, do that, because that will help you disconnect. Don't leave those activities that you love for work. Always make some time for it. And there's no such thing as like, oh, I have no time. It's impossible. There's always time, because when there's a will, there's a way. So it's about being strategic and being organized with your time as well.
Absolutely. Like we should love ourselves first. Like when we take care of ourselves, think about ourselves, then we'll find time to to do exercise, to really think about our well-being, what makes us happy and resilient and stay healthy, eating good food. Uh, because of in today's world, this is very important. If we are in stress, like our body and our it will going to hamper our work as well, study, business, or whatever it is. So like health is a very key factor to be successful in life, and it is very like clear for your discussions. And Maria, thank you so much for your time, um, for this insightful session, and to shed some light on stress management and how to stay active and do well in career and or in study. This is a very broad topic. Within 40 minutes is difficult to cover all these, but the suggestions that you have provided for students, for professionals, leaders, it is going to help them who are going to watch later as well, to understand and create awareness that yes, I need to follow some of the very basic tricks to stay fit and to do well at work. So thank you so much. On behalf of School of Entrepreneurship Development, I would like to say very best of luck for your future endeavors, and we are grateful for your information and insights that you have shared with us. And definitely, our audience, if they want to learn more, if they have more questions, they can definitely reach out to our speaker through LinkedIn. Just uh, ask whatever you want to know from our expertise.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the invitation and providing this platform to share more. And yes, very open to any questions, any feedback. It will be I'll be really happy to get back to you. And again, like, just very take it very take something very simple, just one thing that you got from this talk, just try to implement it and move forward. I think that's the best, to keep it very simple. We have so complicated lives right now,
Yes,
and to keep things simple is the most important thing that we need right now, right? Is just to add some health principles or some ways to really let that steam out in very simple ways. So thank you again.
absolutely. Thank you and have a good day.
Yeah, you too.